Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to completely reframe something. Well, something you probably see every single day, and show you how it literally built the modern world as we know it.
So let's just dive right in by asking a question that kind of challenges everything we think about when we look at our smartphones or, AI server rooms. What is humanity's absolute most important technology? We usually picture silicone chips or modern engineering, right? But the true answer lies much, much further back in our history. Glowing in the dark.
To really understand our technological origins, we're going to explore the massive ripple effect of fire. We'll quickly trace this from mastering the flame to the first external engine, an external digestive system, fueling the human mind, and finally, humanity's first laboratory.
All right, part 1. Mastering the flame, the spark of agency. Now take a look at the immense gap in time here. We had our initial kind of passive interactions with natural fire maybe 1.5 million years ago, but actually it wasn't until around 800,000 to 400,000 years ago that we see widespread controlled use by Homo erectus. So fire wasn't just some instant aha invention. It was a wild, terrifying force that took us literally hundreds of thousands of years to tame.
And you have to remember, keeping a fire alive wasn't just some basic daily chore. It required a massive cognitive leap in planning. I mean, you couldn't do it alone. It required the whole group to organize, gathering fuel, protecting those super delicate embers from the rain, taking night shifts. The shared responsibility basically formed the earliest version of cumulative culture, meaning we were passing absolutely critical survival knowledge down through generations.
Moving on to part 2. The first external engine. Energy transformation.
Okay, so when Homo erectus gathered around a hearth, they were empirically observing what we now call combustion. Without knowing the science, they were watching a rapid chemical reaction unfold, one that literally converts the stored chemical energy inside organic material, which was originally captured from sunlight, into thermal heat and radiant light.
And here is the absolutely crucial point. A campfire isn't just a pretty pile of burning wood. It is literally our species' very first energy conversion system operating outside the biological body. Think about that for a second. Before this exact moment, the only energy humans could utilize was the food we ate and the muscle we exerted. By controlling fire, we built our first external engine.
You can actually see the direct lineage of power right here. The conceptual precedent, this whole idea that energy can be directed for human purposes, connects the cave fire directly to the modern nuclear reactor. When early humans lined a pit with stones to concentrate the heat, they were applying the exact same foundational logic that would eventually, birth the steam engine in modern thermodynamics.
But fire didn't just change our tools, it completely overhauled our biology. Which brings us to part 3. An external digestive system, cooking, and biology.
By denaturing proteins and gelatinizing starches over a flame, early humans effectively outsourced their digestion to the fire itself. Living on a purely raw diet requires this massive internal metabolic effort just to break down tough roots and meat. Cooking basically pre-digests your food externally, unlocking incredibly high net energy with just a fraction of the biological effort. It's a real game changer.
Because cooked food was so metabolically efficient, we literally didn't need massive primate jaws or these long, energy-draining digestive tracts anymore. We evolved smaller teeth and smaller guts. And the benefits weren't just nutritional either. The safety and the light of the hearth physically lengthened our days. It created a protected space to deter predators, and it opened up the evening hours for storytelling and symbolic communication. The physical hearth basically became the center of the human household.
And this biological surplus of calories leads us directly to part 4, fueling the human mind, cognitive expansion.
Just look at this explosive growth in cranial capacity from early hominins to Homo sapiens. We go from a modest 400 cubic centimeters in Australopithecines all the way up to 1,400 in Homo sapiens. That is a massive, unprecedented biological jump, and it was completely fueled by the easily accessible energy unlocked by the hearth. Now, here's a totally fascinating biological trade-off. Our brains are incredibly metabolically expensive. Just notice how much of the energy pie the brain is hogging here. Your brain is consuming 20% of your body's entire resting energy right now, literally just to function.
And that massive energy drain is happening despite the brain making up only 2% of our total body mass. 2%! That is a luxury we could only afford because of fire. Without the external digestive power of cooking,
it would be biologically impossible to sustain an organ this hungry.
Plus, actually keeping that fire going acted like a gym for this growing mind. It forced early humans to practice complex, multi-step problem solving. Think about it. You had to have the foresight to imagine a future fire, you needed causal reasoning to understand why dry wood worked and wet wood didn't, and you needed precision execution to control airflow and nurse a tiny ember into a roaring flame. Fire literally trained us to think like scientists.
All right, our final section, Part 5. Humanity's first laboratory, transmuting matter.
The fire era was humanity's very first laboratory. It taught us that nature wasn't just some immutable given, but something we could actually mold, transmute, and transform. Early humans used heat to harden wooden spears and to even alter the properties of stone for better toolmaking. And eventually, this controlled material transformation scaled up to reducing metal oxides in Bronze and Iron Age furnaces. This was empirical, proto-scientific predictability in action.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that you are quite literally a downstream product of the prehistoric hearth. Every major technological and scientific leap we've made since, from the steam-powered engines of the Industrial Revolution to the refined silicon sitting in modern AI server rooms, they all owe a direct conceptual debt to those first deliberate flames.
It wasn't just a neat way to stay warm, right? It was the spark that gave us agency over the very laws of physics and chemistry. It was for sure the dawn of our species as technological beings, and it completely altered our trajectory on this planet forever.
So, as we look forward to a future of fusion, quantum computing, and whatever comes beyond that, we have to ask ourselves, how will our next great energy revolution reshape our minds and bodies? If a simple campfire gave us the modern human brain, what exactly will tomorrow's energy unlock? Thank you so much for exploring with us today, and remember to keep questioning the history behind the everyday forces around you.